3 minutes.
I'm older than you are, so. I'm fast. I have 6:30.
6:20.
Hi, BD.
I'll call on you after I do the roll call.
Do you want me to take minutes for roll call? You have 2 phones. Busy man.
Zach was gone. All right, I call the Hotel Motel Tax Board meeting to order. Roll call. Andy Souls here, Zach Schumacher. Here. Linda Conway,
Here.
Jamie Sizer. Here. Ashley Allers is absent. I'm gonna turn it over to Beatty for a welcome and overview of what we're gonna do.
Welcome, everyone. We thank you for your interest in the Hotel Motel tax grant application and process. Today, we're going to follow a typical protocol from the past. We do have 6 presentations. You will each have 7 minutes for your presentation. I do have a timer on the screen just to keep you on track with where you're at. And then following that, the board will have 5 minutes for questions and answer from you. So first up will be Hamilton County Fair Foundation, the Speedway, Legacy Learning, Lyft, Sunset Heights, and then the Community Theater. There is a mouse available. We can either have Daniel scroll through your slides or you can do it yourself. Otherwise, you can be at the podium. So we'll completely leave it up to you, whatever you're most comfortable with. And then once all the presentations are done, the board will confer. They will decide on their recommendation to the city council. And that is proposed to be heard July 18th. If you are selected to the next round, you will be receiving a letter that notifies you that you'll be going forward with a designated amount that the board has decided to recommend. Do you guys have any questions before we get started? Okay, so I will call Hamilton County Fair Foundation up.
We'll introduce ourselves. So I'm Whitney Lincoln, Fair Foundation member for the last 3 years. I'm Amy Erickson Keller. I'm the president of the Hamilton County Fair Foundation. All right, and what we're here today is to present to you what the grant application is for the phase 4 of the Hamilton County Event Center. So since we haven't applied in the most recent past years. I'm just gonna do an, oh. Is there a certain button I should push? Go ahead and click it if you can. Perfect. So, little background of Hamilton County Fair Foundation. We are a 501c3. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It is for the benefit of the Hamilton County Fairgrounds here in Webster City and the citizens and guests that frequent it. So what it's used for, or what we're used for, is for the educational charitable purposes. We provide programs and services. We basically handle the finances, the grants, the gifts, the donations that go into the maintenance improvements of the buildings and grounds there. The actual events that are held there, the managing of the buildings, that's in cooperation with the Hamilton County Fair Board managing that. Our past project success is we have, so it was established in 2000. So these are the projects that have been over the past years. We have some upkeep of buildings, mostly new playground area. You assess the needs alongside of what the events are currently being held there at the grounds, and put the finances that support additional utilities or upkeep of the buildings there. You can see in the projects. The one at the bottom, the biggest one, is largest funding to date is the 2010, when the new show arena, what is called the Hamilton County Event Center, purposefully labeled there, was erected in 2010. It replaced a building that was originally built in 1958, 1959. So much needed at that time. And that's the building that's going on in this phase 4 of the grant request. Okay, so the history of the evolution of that event center that this phase 4 is contributing to is it originally was built because we needed a larger area, multi-purpose arena. The previous one was a dirt ground, I believe. Had kind of natural ventilation going on in there, and just not a lot of room for the growing community that was using the facility. In 2010, they built that building. They also added the plaza that's in front of it. For anybody that hasn't visited that area, it's an enclosed building now. It has a display area that has donors, contributors out front of the area. It's been well received. Oh, in 2013, so the next phase in 2013 added more utilities to the building. So you had air conditioning, we added heating, restrooms, and a concessions area, and made it even more useful for other events besides a livestock show. It's been well received, and it's actually had additional events in there. I updated from the grant applications to the presentation tonight. There's updated the events that have been held or are scheduled for the 2022 cycle. So you can see it gets used for lots of purposes. Kind of classify it into celebratory, educational.
Okay, do you have this in print for us, or can you read off what the?
You guys have the copies of the grants?
The grant,
I have the
but the new
application.
numbers.
Oh, I can. Yeah, go ahead.
So there's 8 archery events scheduled in 2022. There's 6 weddings scheduled. There's a couple banquets, 3 fundraisers, 3 livestock shows, Webster City Prom, and Extension Ag Days are all what was scheduled in 2022.
Thank you.
The only 2 numbers that changed from the grant, what's in the print on the grant application to this presentation, were the weddings that got scheduled, and then I think 2 additional livestock shows. The rest
Okay.
represents that grant. Any other questions on that?
They did pull the jump fest out there too, so that was out there.
Was that building part of that?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I bring me, right? So to break it down and to see the history there too of the different phases, to understand why this is called phase 4. Phase 1 and 2 was creating kind of the bones of it in two phases, and phases can kind of be a fundraising phases to kind of be able to understand how the money was brought for the construction. Phase 3 was those additional utilities. Phase 4 if I can walk through those, is what we're asking, or what we're doing, our current project, and what the grant is being applied to. So the current small concessions area, it's there, it's physically there. There is no prep space. There is a window, there is a refrigerator, and there is a sink, a small sink. You'll see in the diagram, it's essentially a little bit bigger than the bathroom stall. So it holds a lot of traffic in there, a lot of, it's getting a lot of use in concessions. When there's other events that are held there, it becomes a place of storing the food items. It's well used. And there is one male and one female restroom for this facility. What the phase 4 is going to include is 4 female and 4 male designated restroom stalls in the addition for the expansion. Currently, the restroom stalls are not ADA compliant. So in the new addition, it'll have the ADA stall in each of the male and the female restrooms. And then there's no family restroom. Those original 1 female, 1 male stalls will become family. They'll be converted to family restrooms or non-gender restrooms. So here's kind of how the picture is going to go, and I'll let Amy just point through the west expansion, but just to kind of take you through a little visual here. So this is the fairgrounds. The star is over the event center. This is the roof of the event center. If we kind of overlay it like this, and I'll make this go away so you can see it a lot clearer. You can see the bleacher setting. That's the current restrooms that Amy just pointed to. And the big rectangle is the show arena. That's the current prep room. So I'll take away that picture and you can. Yep, so there's the new expansion under that purple. That makes sense on the diagram.
These would be the 2 family restrooms that we maintain, keeping this concession stand. We'd also have a new prep room or concession stand over here. We've got the new hallway that goes in between and the new bathrooms here. So we're just extending out into that pavilion area that sits out there.
Go ahead and talk about those 2 things that I just put up there, the need for them.
Oh yeah, so the restrooms obviously are the ADA, and obviously getting more restrooms in there so we can expand on the availability of being able to do new things inside of there.
Oh, we're at 0 seconds. Do we need to stop and move on?
Ask some questions.
How much more you got left?
I think just one more slide.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It goes through, well, I think there's 2 more slides. It's the access to the outdoor events that you can keep the inside closed and locked off. And the caterer's prep door, instead of hauling it across people, where a lot of caterers, they almost work out of their vans, they would have that access to that multi-purpose room that's in this expansion. It has lots of functional, it's listed in the grant there. Project benefits to show hotel stays that would be attributed to events that are held here. You can take the celebratory events, take a percentage of those guests that would be coming significantly from out of town. If we're at 6 today, even if we increased it to 10, I think I had 10 in there somewhere. You would have 10 to 15. You would go anywhere from 200 to 400 hotel stays if you're using that for a celebratory, which one of the biggest holdups is, what are your restroom facilities at this place? This is the budget that's in the grant. There's no changes to that. It just goes into more description of what the cash match is and what the in-kind support is. The cash match, there is already money raised, drawing attention there, and also there will be other grants sought out. Enhanced Hamilton County is a grant that we've routinely used in the past, and we'll be doing that again this cycle. Fundraising campaigns, we've kind of softly kicked off with flyers. We're going to do a hard kickoff at the Hamilton County Fair this year. And thank you for your consideration.
All right, now, board members, questions. I have a few of them. I noticed in your display there, your diagram, you did have access to the outside. In your grant, it says events potentially could have access to the outside restrooms. Is that in the plans now? And if it is, did that raise your cost of, or your estimate of the project?
It would not raise the cost. The management of the facility is the fair board, and they see benefit. They're always, if there's an event being held at the fairgrounds, they're there and they're responsible anyways. And so it's just a matter of unlocking and using the facilities. They're very, very much, that's the approach that makes sense to them too.
Is the outside access? Also, if a full amount is not granted, what does this do to your project or your timeline for the project?
Sure, so it's going forward regardless. The support that will be provided by you would be extremely valuable to us. It's gonna be very difficult without a significant grant, such as this of some kind. But the fundraising, we would just escalate what we need to do there and work on volunteer time to make sure we got the funds in place.
Last one from me, the window prep room that you showed up there, is that available? So that's going to be a new concession as well. So it'll go into the show arena. We'll also have a window to the outside area, or?
Yes. Yes, it doesn't show in that design well, but that was listed in the print of the design. It will have access both externally and internally, that additional multi-purpose room.
Gotcha.
Okay. What is the anticipated rental amount of this facility?
That's a good question. I think it rents for $800 a month. Don't quote me 100% on that because we are not in charge of the rental part. That is the fair board in regards to that. So we have no say so in regards to what it's physically rented for. So they're the ones that physically set up who's renting and what takes place there.
So you said $800 a month, or is it a time?
Rental, sorry.
Okay.
So rental on that.
Yikes. Do you have any local studies that show a need for this project?
Any local studies? No, just taking off of studies done in rural portions to say what the value of a tourism dollar is to a small town Iowa. That was in the grant. And I know we have physically talked to like Pheasants Forever. They used to come out and they used to do their facility annual banquet out here. One of the reasons they said they left our facility was because of the bathroom need. So they wanted to go somewhere bigger for bathrooms. I know that that's been a concern with a few of the rentals for weddings and stuff, and that they've looked at it saying, hey, if the bathrooms were a little bit better, then we would obviously be doing it here. So I know a lot of places you're probably comparing us to probably the event center, Briggs Woods and stuff. Their rental is a lot more than what this physically is to rent, but there's a lot more difference in accommodations between the two places too.
Oh, for sure. But no, I was thinking more about the buildings that are already on the fairgrounds
Sure.
that are used for rentals.
Yeah. And none of them have bathrooms like this. They're down to just one stall.
No, they don't. On page 13, you talk about marketing. As far as marketing your project is by putting a name on the wall.
So it's a donor wall. There's a quilt that's across the inside of the building.
Okay.
And so then there's different sections on how much people have donated on there. So then that's where all of the funds from like phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 have been put on there. And then we're adding to it with phase 4.
Okay. So how are you planning to market, or are you going to market? Is this just the construction part of it that you're involved with, and then everything else is kicked off to the fair people, or?
Oh, no, we see the project through start to finish, the foundation well. Are you talking about marketing in terms of?
In terms of how are people going to know that this facility is available? What the capacity is?
So that's going to kind of come back onto the fair board. So they have a whole website and everything that Jamie puts out on there that specifically talks about each one of their buildings and everything. So then she will be marketing, and when people call, she'll walk them through each of the facilities and give them the opportunity to decide if they want to use that as a rental or not.
Okay. And do you anticipate that there would ever be a time that there would be a discount for local residents to use the facility or any of the fair facilities?
That part is not set by us, that's set by the fair board in regards to how much they charge for the rentals. So I can't say yes or no on that part.
Okay. But you work with them, right?
We work with them, but we're two separate complete entities. So Fair Board and Fair Foundation are completely separate. We're cooperative in terms of putting the finances back into the maintenance for facilities. In terms of anything managing, it's if there is a return on that, it's we make sure that 501c3 is very straight and narrow on that. So
Okay.
donations are going into.
Okay.
I just got one. It's a rough estimate of $400,000 for the project. Do you have any newer estimates on that, or do you know what engineering fees would be, or?
Yeah, especially now, materials can fluctuate. But the most recent one today, again, confirmed was 400,000. Peterson Construction is the one that is doing that estimate, making sure that they are realistic on that. We do have to dig down, and so when you're adding sewer additional, so we hope that there's no complications there. That's the only one that they're thinking could have caused probably a potential rise significant, but otherwise they don't foresee any additional. The other one today was we may have to put sprinklers into the facility based on its size now too. So, but nothing that should change that number significantly, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Next up, we will have the Hamilton County Speedway.
Okay, perfect. Move this off again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put it on the table if you like. Yours was the.
It was the link. Yes. Okay, so hello, I am Sarah Ratcliffe and I am with the Hamilton County Speedway. And I am presenting on our grant application for the 2022 City Promotion Project plus advertising for the Hamilton County Speedway. Okay, so a little bit about us. The Hamilton County Speedway is managed by TTMM Promotions, which is managed by Todd and Janet Staley. We've been managing Hamilton County Speedway since 2018. And what I mean by that is we rent the track from the Hamilton County Fair Board and we run weekly events there. We run USRA sanctioned events. So we run 5 USRA sanctioned divisions. So we are a weekly racetrack here in Webster City. Our season runs between April and October, and we host grandstand events also during the Hamilton County Fair. So we are requesting $59,500 for the city promotion project, and dollars included in this are for advertising events. I do want to point out, based on what was put in the application, that number has shifted just a little bit and it's decreased, and I'll kind of explain why as I go through this. So what is the city promotion project? So the funds that are requested for this project will allow us to, number one, decrease our front gate admission price for our fans, while also advertising this promotion project through the city and advertising other events that we have at the Hamilton County Speedway. So in the years past, we've always asked for funds that have been specific to projects that we've completed at the Hamilton County Speedway. And we're trying to shift gears now just a little bit. And why we felt it was necessary to shift gears to focus on a direct promotion of our venue and the events that we have at the Hamilton County Speedway is because we've noticed a decrease in our fan attendance in 2022. And I think there's probably several different variables that would go into that. And we've also, in the last 2 years, which now that I'm standing up here talking, I should have included that in the presentation, and I can email that to you after the presentation. But 2 years we did different surveys, and they were face-to-face surveys with our fans because we wanted to start to learn about our fan base who was attending the races. Because we kind of felt that a lot of our fan base was from outside of the Webster City area. And in fact, what we found by doing that survey was that 75% of the fan base that attend the weekly events are not from the Webster City area. And that was based off of, we did, it wasn't like we did one event or 2 events, we did a handful of events, and there was about 760 people. And of the 760, it was just over 500, I think it was like 520 something that were not from the Webster City area. So they were traveling in, staying in hotels, and so we just kind of thought that was interesting. So the promotions that we've tried to get the attendance up at Webster City is we are running a weekly special where we do free admission for one town. Fans comment on a Facebook post, so we get interaction that way, and then we go live and we draw a town. We also do free admission or discounted admission to certain demographics, or for example, we did a Mother's Day and all moms got in for free. Father's Day, we did a discounted admission of $5 off. We also offer a season punch pass that fans can purchase in advance to use during the season. And then kids 11 and under are always free at the track other than during the Hamilton County Fair. So the breakdown of the city promotion project that we'd be doing is to drop our front gate admission to $8. Currently, our front gate admission is $15 for adults. And the city promotion would begin Saturday, July 30th. In the grant application that you have in front of you, I think we had it starting July 20th. However, I did not take into consideration that during Fair Week, we have a different contract with the Hamilton County Fair Board. So we cannot start the promotion until July 30th. We also looked at decreasing our front gate admission prior to that. And on the June 18th event, we added in sprint cars. And then on the June 25th event, there was a stock car special, which I know hearing the words out loud probably doesn't mean much, but so we added an additional $7,000 on the June 18th event. And then we added a $30,000 purse to the June 25th event. So dropping our front gate is a significant risk for us. So the $15 minus the $8, so it'd be $7 per ticket and difference that the city would cover. So averaging 500 fans in the grandstand, that's a $3,500 nightly loss that we'll say that this promotion, these dollars would be helping cover. So you take the number of events that we have left, that would be 28,000 total that the city would contribute to the city promotion project. So, and on our budget, you'll notice if you have the application in front of you, I think we did a $10,000 for advertising. So there's some adjustment in the numbers just because we've taken off some of those events. And so obviously we wouldn't ask you to cover events that are not being covered. So out with the old, in with the new, thanks to you. So all tickets into the Hamilton County Speedway would be $8 for adults 12 and over. Kids 11 and under would still be free. And then we would also offer all of our military, active and retired free admission into our grandstand events. And then another portion of the dollars that we are asking goes towards advertising. That would go towards our radio advertising through the KQWC and the Daily Freeman Journal. We want to do more of the pre and post race advertising. Our advertising match will be used towards K97 and then social media advertising. So why us? Our goal is to be the best racing facility in Iowa. Several upgrade projects have already been completed, a lot of which have been completed using Todd and Janet's personal investment. We also work very closely with the HCSRA, which is the Hamilton County Speedway Race Association. We have a proven commitment to the facility, our competitors, and the community, and we offer one of the best. We offer the best weekly payout in the state of Iowa. We know that because we've researched it. And we also drive revenue into Webster City. So I know I'm running out of time here. This is from one of the members from the HCSRA. So over the years that I've been involved with the HCSRA, we have never had hands-on involvement with the racetrack like we have now with Todd. His dedication to promoting the track by bringing in different races and ideas and his willingness to spend his own personal money to improve the facility will leave a lasting legacy. And in closing, I just want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to present to you for this grant that we're applying for, as well as the grants funds that we've received in the years past from the Hotel Motel Committee. Thank you.
All right, so let's go back to your breakdown of money.
Okay.
Now, so it's 28,500 for the city marketing promotion.
Yeah, so it'd technically be 28,000, which,
And it's still 10,000 for marketing.
yes, 10,000 for marketing. So those, because originally when we submitted it with the June 11th, June 18th, and June 25th dates on there. And then we also submitted it, I believe, with the fair events on there. The other problem with that, with Fair Week, not only are we in a different contract during that week, but promoting it, we basically have a day to promote that the prices were decreased, excuse me. But we are offering a Fair Week grandstand punch pass to try and help with that. So basically, fans can purchase that for $45 and that gets them in for one event free in the grandstand.
500 people in your grandstands, or is that including your pits?
No, that's just grandstand,
And that's your average this year?
correct? And that's with everyone. So that is, and we did every category that we sell because this would be an $8 ticket for everyone.
Gotcha. And how did you come up with your number of the 55% that stay overnight in Webster City?
Can you tell me what page that's on?
Well, you said it was, you get 75% out of town, right?
Of the
And then
75%, there
right.
was 50, yes, okay.
55%.
So when we went through and did those surveys, those face-to-face surveys, the questions we asked is, where are you from? Are you lodging here in town? So are you staying overnight for this event? And where are you staying? So are you staying at a campground? Are you staying at a hotel? And then we asked if they ate anywhere before coming to the races. And then if they had any other purchases inside of Webster City while they were visiting the racetrack.
So do you know where the amount of those people are at, like hotels? 'Cause that's 206 people every weekend,
Well, no,
if
that's.
you average that out.
Okay, so that's based on the 700 and some that so that would have been 50% of the 550, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're asking, where did they say the American?
Yeah,
Is?
because
Great.
206 people in our hotels, that would fill all of them up.
Right, okay, so no, that's not right then. So the numbers was based on, so the 700 people that we surveyed, that was over a 2-year span
Okay.
on different events.
All right.
Right? So I'm not taking it on an average, so maybe I worded that wrong when I said that. But 75% of who we surveyed was from out of town and 51% of the 75% that we surveyed were staying, not necessarily per weekend. Is it making sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I can send, like I said, I can send you that and I should have included that in there. So you can see the breakdown of it and I can actually send you like PDF scan in the handwritten surveys that we did.
I don't want those.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it is interesting. But no, we do get quite a few that stay, well, not quite a few, I would say 2 to 3 that stay out at the campgrounds. Briggs Woods was on there and then American was the #1 hotel for us.
Gotcha. And last one for me, sorry guys. If not fully funded, how is this going to affect your project?
I mean, we're going to remain open. We're just trying to look for different ways to advertise and market to a fan base that we're clearly not reaching. And we do think that probably the front gate price is stopping people from coming to the races, especially the way the economy is now. We'll continue to do things to try and offer discounts. But if it's not funded, we can't take the risk ourselves to lower the front gate to $8, but we will continue to try and do what we can to get people into the racetrack.
So I seen on your breakdown that you're going from 15 to $8, but on your application you had that you're going to be dropping to 10.
So
So you're
that was
going
for
down
the-
more?
No,
for
yes. So on
June.
that was for the June 11th, June 18th, and June 25th race. So we were going to do that no matter what. However, the June 18th, they added in sprint cars. And so, I mean, if I'm being honest with you, I was the one that said, no, we can't drop from a $15 ticket down to $8 or down to $10. You wouldn't think it's significant, but when you're adding an additional $7,000 to your already $21,000 purse, it makes an impact. I mean, you 500 at 15, that's 7,500. So
Okay.
it's a risk.
Okay, that's all. You got one.
I thought your promotion idea is excellent.
Thank you.
And what is the maximum capacity?
So I think on our, I'm gonna go with our liquor license. We have it listed as 4,000.
Oh
When we
my,
apply it, yeah. And the closest that we've seen that at the racetrack has either been on our driver free night. So we offer a free admission, which we've been right over, like, I think it was like close to 4,100. And we know that because we're actually, I mean, you're keeping track of the tickets that are coming in. And then our $5 night, we get roughly 1,500 fans in the stand during
Wow.
those events.
Okay. What do you believe the percent of potential customers locally read the local paper and listen to the local news?
That's a great question. And that's something that I go back and forth with Kim at KQ, or excuse me, at K97, because she knows I'm kind of a numbers person. And so I want to know, like, and that's what I like about social media marketing is you can see how many people are looking at your stuff or when you boost it, that sort of thing. I do think there's an area that we're missing by not marketing in the local newspaper. And on the radio advertising, you know, we fell back on not doing local advertising, and that's for reasons to be discussed other places than right here. But I would say it's significant. I mean, I think that we're definitely missing a target audience.
Okay, and do any of your other ventures, your USMTS and your USRA, do they have publications that might offer an advertising opportunity to bring in people from outside of the area in addition to your local promotion?
Yes, they do. And that's one of the things with like the USRA. So that's who we're sanctioned through. Obviously, Todd and Janet own the USRA and the USMTS. So we put out a newsletter and we also have a constant contact e-newsletter. So, you know, I kind of feel as a USRA member track, we are kind of at an advantage. And so we get to market to a larger group of people on the competitor side. So not necessarily on the fan side, because all of that marketing and advertising is directed towards the competitors. So yes, but it's not necessarily helping our front gate.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Legacy Learning, Boone River Valley.
Hello, we are here to present tonight on our legacy learning workshops for the upcoming year. And if you're familiar with what we've done in the past, we've offered workshops now for 7 years. But one of the ongoing concerns we have about the workshops is that when we self-support, which we try to do, it is expensive for people to handle the tuition. And so one of the things we have found is especially for our underserved audiences, that the tuition is a game changer. And so we did an autism, if you're familiar, last year, we did an autism workshop. And so this year we are offering a series of free community-based workshops, bringing art to veterans, families, caregivers, cancer survivors, special needs folks, and people with autism. Approximately 8 people will be in each workshop. We keep our workshops really small and individual. People really thrive in that environment, adults, children, and persons with special needs. We will be offering additional funds and instruction and free art tables. And we have 2 more live art events that we'd like to present at the Twin Parks. We've done 1 so far with private funding, legacy funding, and private donors. And we will continue to offer 2 more with the same funding, but we will need marketing. Oh, I forgot, I'm in charge of this.
Let me know if you want.
Oh, there we go. So did anybody here attend the autism workshop premiere last year at the theater? We had a community event. So we created an autism workshop based on the idea of providing a program where people could thrive, the program fit to the person rather than the person fit to the program. And we started with an Arts Midwest grant, and we built on it with local donations, and we created a stop action animation series of workshops for persons with autism. We served 4 people the first time. We have 2 professional teachers on for staff for this and 2 assistants that provide the kind of classroom support for individual needs. And then after a series of 7 workshops, they premiered in December at the local theater, the little animation movie that they had created. The feedback we got from the parents was amazing, and they've asked for more. We bought iPads as part of our grant for the last one, and to expand, we need to increase the number of iPads that we can have at our disposal. The Veterans, Families, and Caregivers Workshop, another unserved audience that we found in the community is the veterans groups. And although we invite them, it's hard to serve them without creating a special workshop. And it's really difficult to charge the underserved groups tuition. It's what we'd really like to do is do a series instead of a one-shot thing where they can afford the tuition for a day maybe. We'd like to do a series where they really have a chance to really form a cohort. We have found with our legacy learning workshops that when people meet in repeated events, they kind of bond and create a cohort that really becomes a support system. Our writing groups and some of our painting groups have done that for each other. They came through COVID offering support to each other. They went online after they were unable to meet in person. But the idea of a repeat performance kind of workshop situation is really the target for us this year in order to provide that kind of safe, supportive environment that we want to create. And if you look in your packet, we had great response. We reached out to the local veterans groups with Luann Jackson and Rusty Naden. Both of them were very positive in their responses for why veterans, including younger veterans, would benefit from access to creative environments and activities. They also felt that that would give an opportunity for them to reach out to veterans to offer other support systems that they may or may not know about. The special needs workshop, it'll be, we meet for 4 weeks. Will be offered to people with any need that they provide. We reached out to the Roundhouse, and if you're familiar with the work the Roundhouse is doing in the community now out at Saskey Station, they're really building a clientele that feels supported and included. And they're doing some interesting programming. And they've asked for creative arts classes. And we're happy to provide them, but we also have to pay our teachers and staff. So we have to figure out a way to fund those. So with their support, we'd really like to create a series of workshops that really are built around what they choose to do. We have the kind of teachers and staff that can bring almost any experience. So if people are interested in 2D or 3D or painting or drawing or clay, we can actually individualize those offerings and provide it to those persons. The Cancer Survivors Workshop is also one. We have one of our instructors has had that situation, and she has a special affinity for the kinds of support that would be good to offer, both because she received it and because she didn't receive it. And so I think that that kind of knowledge is really informative as far as providing a supportive environment. And again, we'd like to repeat the class opportunities so that they have time to work together in a supportive environment, get to know the other persons in the class and find a support community. Live in Twin Parks is something that we have begun to offer with live music in the park. And then we have art and artists there to offer activities in addition to that. So our request is for marketing money. And we have the need for instructor. And if you look at the budget, they have staff and facilities for the classes. The Live in Twin Parks says the funding for the performances and the artist is already taken care of, but we would really like to market it effectively. And like the other ones, marketing is so key to our successful community. We all know that it's important to have a creative community in order to thrive. So that's where legacy learning comes in. Thanks for your attention.
That's coming up. I'm on the board too, sorry for.
All right. Questions?
I have several.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jamie.
You said that you allowed 8 per session, is that correct?
Mhm.
If you have in here that there's a waiting list, if you have a waiting list, will you allow more people, make it bigger?
That's for the autism.
Yeah,
The autism one is limited because of the equipment needed
Oh.
for that series.
so,
Um,
so that's
that
just
means-
8 per,
What that means is that the waiting list is for the next opportunity. They will sign up for the next class we offer.
Oh.
They wanted us to continue with what we started last year. And we have teachers and professionals willing to do that, but so we have them, 2 of the people wanted to be on the waiting list, and then 2 of the people that they had talked to would like to. So we want to double the number of offerings. So we were limited to 4. Now we can look at 8.
so, like, for example, say that you have more than 8 veterans that are wanting to
8
do.
veterans.
Will you allow more to do it if, okay,
Yeah. Depending on the class, I mean, depending on what it is, like for instance, if it were a clay class, 8 would be all the facility could hold. If it were a painting class, you could go to 10 or 12, but I think for especially the first go around until they trust you and feel comfortable, that our intention is to keep the classes small. We wouldn't like turn people away. Generally, if someone calls and the class is filling, we try and make room.
okay.
How and where do you market to these very specific demographics, Mo?
Okay, so the marketing to the special needs people is then handled with the general ones. I mean, they read the same things we read. And what we've done is reach out to their support groups, the teachers and educators in the area for the autism and special needs workshops, the veterans groups for the veterans area, and the Roundhouse itself for that. We have reached out in a selective way with the kinds of classes we felt like we would offer for very specific targets. The Live in Twin Parks, though, is a general audience kind of thing. And so what we have found, though, is that because our grant last year from Arts Midwest was directed at special needs and the concert was kind of identified as a special invitation for them, they now think that the Twin Parks is theirs, and they are really fired up for concerts and will probably come to every concert every week and dance up a storm. And so what I think's been fun is it's been kind of an extension of the downtown market, where they kind of come from there to the concert that's a little bit later and enjoy the shelter in the park, which has been it's a terrific place to both visit and perform. It's really truly a lovely space to work with.
So you answered this question. You said there's no charge to the people who are attending these classes.
For this series, that's what we're trying to offer, which
Okay,
is sets us apart from what we've done before, which has been tuition based.
right, right. And according to your minutes, you're spending $1,000 a month in marketing. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct.
How do they know, the attendees, how do they know what they're interested in.
The Roundhouse, we can just, they have asked us for
What
a
is the
series of
Roundhouse?
classes. The Roundhouse is out at Sashi Station, and it's specially targeted support for persons with mental illness in this community and wide area.
Okay.
I don't know how far the area goes, frankly, but they have quite a facility out there. They have a meeting house that's really interesting. I visited a couple of times this summer, and it's been quite impressive. So they would ask us, and we would provide what they asked for. Otherwise, we would survey. I mean, generally, we have enough input from like the veterans this time that we can do that. As it gets more generalized, we'll probably survey.
Okay.
Okay, more, Linda.
Nope, that's it for me.
Zach? Who are your teachers and instructors that you have for these programs?
Okay, so for the autism, it is Pat O'Laughlin, who moved here from Pennsylvania to be in Webster City because he actually took his Chelsea, and he moved here because they took a workshop at the Clay Studio and decided they would just move here. They both worked online. She had a son that lives in a nearby community that lives with his father. And so they thought, well, they just like to move here. So they did, you know. When they said it, I thought, okay. And then a couple of months later, they called and were on their way. So he is trained at as a professional artist. He's been an installer for the Philadelphia Museum of Art. He has a fantastic background in both painting and in woodworking. And he's also an online game producer of family-friendly games. She's a health coach online. And so he did the part of the animation workshop that created sets. And then the other teacher is Christina LeClaire, who came here from Omaha. And she's the one with the stop action animation idea because they had done one at a place they called Y Arts, a special needs community art place in Omaha. And so she had access to one of their professionals who helped us out for no remuneration at all, but guided our curriculum development. And so then for the painting, we have a group of artists for the cancer survivors one. Christine Pede is probably going to do that. She's moving, so we have to work with some schedules. She's seen this process through and has a passion for it. So we're hoping that works out for her, but we have several paintings instructors that we can use. We try to offer classes and workshops that go to the people's strengths. So we try to pull ours to fit their needs, especially with the autism one. They have a lot of places where they are expected to fit in and we help them fit in, but there aren't very many places where people ask, how could we do something that you'd like to do and how could we make that happen? And so they acted as directors and we acted as staff.
So are all your instructors from in town?
No.
Are you bringing in outside people?
Yeah. So one of our painters is from Fort Dodge. One is from Des Moines. The Wild Foods workshop we had last week was from Ames and Georgia. The attendees were from 3 different communities. So again, we try to bring in others when we can. It kind of depends.
So my question is, how many of your personnel dollars go into legacy
Pardon?
learning
What about
instructors? So your personnel dollars, how many of that is going to legacy learning members, instructors that are involved in your group?
Okay, so the instructors are, for the autism group, there are 2 instructors and 2 staff.
Okay.
Because we have classroom support type individuals there. We had actually teachers from the community school system that acted as classroom support. We wanted it to have no bumps in the road.
So are they part of legacy learning? Are they members of your guys' group organization?
No.
Okay. My,
Christina is.
that would be the cancer survivor one.
No, Christina, the autism
Okay.
instructor is. And we try and work with artists locally, so I don't know if a membership group really we haven't really got a developed membership, but we consider everybody creative in the community to be with us. So
And how much interest is in the other three programs, the veterans, the cancer, and the mental health? Have you got a list of people signed up for
participants.
those?
No, we have a list of, we reached out to the people who already work with them to see if they felt that there would be a need.
Okay.
And that there would be a response.
And that's how you've selected those 4 groups this time?
Yeah. Well, and we kind of looked at the community to see what we thought were fairly underserved. So,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Thanks.
Next up is Lyft in the city of Webster.
Good evening, I'm going to handle the first part of the presentation, and Zach with the board will be meeting to answer any additional questions and follow up with that. Want to briefly start with a brief 62 seconds from video.
Futsal is a form of street soccer, very, very popular in other countries across the world. Bringing it here to Iowa is fantastic opportunity for young kids to get out, have a very safe place to come play. When you're in this environment, whether you realize it or not, these kids at very young ages, the speed in which the game moves, the ability to control, receive a pass, it directly translates then to going out on a large grass field. And some of the skills you learn here then become and seem easy once you get on a larger pitch. This is a kid can, be living down the street. They grab a ball, they come over here. Next thing you know, there's 2 more kids from another apartment complex. And all of a sudden, on Tuesdays or Thursdays, after school, hey, you're coming to play here with your friends. Slowly but surely, you're developing those skills. Kids can find a love for the game of soccer that they never even knew existed.
So Lyft brought this project to the city. They initially had heard of it through Musco Lighting, who was doing the number of projects throughout Iowa as well as throughout the entire country. Now, if you've had kids that have ever played soccer, including my kids, you understand that when you take the kids out of the soccer field, when they kick the ball, it's going to go into the street, it's going to go into the neighbor's yard, possibly break a neighbor's window, and then you're having to replace that window. So part of this really drove a heart of trying to find a creative, a safe environment for kids to be able to both have an environment to play, practice, and another avenue for them to also burn off their energy. A couple of years ago, the U.S. Soccer Foundation set out a large goal of developing 1,000 mini pitches across the country with the goal of, 1, getting youth to be more active, as well as get them involved in soccer and develop their skills within the soccer game. This really has taken off in the last few years with first phase, as I'll refer to, that the U.S. Soccer Foundation and Musco help fund throughout a number of communities in Iowa. This is one in Clive that opened up last year. Here's a couple of tweets from one in Pleasant Hill, another one in Marion that has opened up. Some recent ones, this is one from Sioux City. I know that Sioux City, as well as I believe Dubuque, or one of the eastern cities, is already looking, Sioux City, another, all 3 of them looking at doing a second mini pitch within their community, in large part because of the success and the interest from the community and the youth to be able to put one in and maximize that. This is a map that the U.S. Soccer Foundation has on their website across the entire country of many pitches across the country. It's their way of being able to track how successful they're reaching their goal. Now, they need to update Sioux City, and there's another one down in the Des Moines area they need to update, but you can clearly see around the Fort Dodge area that there is no mini pitch here in central Iowa. We're probably an hours away before you can ever reach one. So that's part of what's driving this. Lyft brought this forward in order to bring something to the community, help push it forward, be the first in our region to really bring one here. Lyft helped put together the contact and speak with Musco Lighting, the representative, their project coordinator here in Iowa. And we were on a Zoom call with them a little over a month ago, talking about the feasibility, whether Webster City would be a good location. They were really excited about the area since they don't have one here. They know the area has a large soccer presence. And when we talked about where it could go, it really came to the forefront of East or West Twin Park being the best location to be able to put one for a couple of different reasons. One is it's accessibility with sidewalks, being able to walkability was a big factor for Musco Lighting. Its presence within the community and especially centrally located within neighborhoods in Webster City that have a considerable low to moderate income population in those neighborhoods. And it became essential that East or West Twin Park would be crucial. Now, which one to go to, that's kind of up in the air depending on which way things go. So they both have their benefits. And so it just kind of depends how things end up working out for the installation and other factors that go into it. In terms of our budget, we had requested $69,450 from the hotel motel tax. Our overall project is about $149,400. The modular system itself that's developed by Musco Lighting, that itself is approximately $90,000. We're requesting $69,450 from the hotel motel board. The remainder will be fundraised. In addition to that, we have a concrete slab that has to be poured. We also have the volunteers, Lyft board members, and they would be responsible for coordinating and getting additional volunteers to put that modular set together. Think of it as a large Lego set that they would have to bolt together and piece together. Some additional in-kind contribution includes costs associated with some accessory items, or not accessory, but things such as lighting, electrical that have to be run, as well as other odds and ends that may come up. We've spoken to a number of people throughout the community. There's quite a bit of broad support among both the Parks and Rec Board, as well as other members in the community, those coaches at the high school that coach soccer. There's also a small Christian soccer league that plays on the weekends out at the high school, and they host regular tournaments out there. We know that sports is a big factor for health and well-being for our youth, and we know that there are some concerns and issues within our youth, especially if they are able to get out and play. But overall, it has health benefits for both physical as well as psychological, social well-being, team-oriented sports to get them to be more collaborative and team players. In terms of tourism, that league that I mentioned, they host tournaments periodically. The table on the right-hand side, those are the number of teams that play in those tournaments. Some of them are from outside Webster City that come in here to play. They also eat, shop. They like to enjoy restaurants when their games are over. Now, studies have shown both regionally that investments in recreation amenities is a big factor that draws residents into the communities, as well as businesses and employers that are seeking for amenities that tie into their business values. We know there's a number of questions that kind of come around this. One of them is the high school already has soccer fields, and the reality is, in speaking with that Hispanic soccer league and the Christian church, is it's a little bit more regulated. They have to go through a formal permitting process, provide liability and indemnification. A large group just can't go on the high school and do a pickup game on a regular basis. Additionally, we know that the hotel motel tax has set aside 25% for parks and recreation. These are the list of park and recreation projects in the capital improvement plan that was adopted earlier this year. 12 million of that is based for an aquatic center that's going to be very difficult to achieve. That leaves about 1.5 million in other projects that we're trying to fund within the Parks and Recreation Department. But overall, the grim reality is the city's general fund that supports police, fire, and parks and recreation, our expenses have exceeded revenues. And so for the next foreseeable future, over the next 4 to 5 years, we're burning more money than we have money coming in. So we're going to have to really start thinking strategically across the board in the city in terms of how and where we spend money and what projects we really move forward and pick up. So with that, I want to thank you for the opportunity. If you have any questions that Zach and I can answer, Zach is representing the Lyft board and is coordinating, and I said, the volunteers, as well as other aspects of fundraising that become part of the project.
Did you guys have a chance to talk to the youth soccer league to see if, do they take their nets down every year after the season, or?
I didn't ask him on that question. I did reach out to Patrick on just numbers. I wanted to know, A, if they were in support of this project, of course, and what the numbers would be. I don't know, Andy, did any of your kids play soccer yet? I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. So 200 to 250 kids are out there
Right.
every Friday. There's not a youth sport in town that's more popular than soccer. So that's what I reached out. I didn't reach out on the net question.
I didn't get clarification on the net question specifically, but in talking to the church that holds the other soccer, and that's more for teens and adults that they play. And it does specify that the school district requires that permitting process for them to go through.
Okay.
And so that's been a deterrent for them to do more pickup games and tournaments on the fly, as opposed to being more structured and having to go through the process with the school district.
Gotcha.
How would a group per se go about using the facility? Is it first come, first served? Can you say my group wants to use it from 1 to 3, or how is that going to work?
It'll be intended to operate in the same manner of the basketball courts that we have both at East Twin as well as now at Burkheim Park. In terms of getting it more structured, if someone wanted to reserve it, we'd work with the Park and Recreation Commission to establish a process for them to request it. That is the intent, to hopefully open that up for the youth soccer leagues to be able to reserve that for practices as needed, to get more exposure and to have them the opportunity to practice within that. Had my wife coach soccer last year, and I can tell you, chasing the balls across the field at the high school can be quite tiring, let alone trying to chase down the kids.
Absolutely. Another question I have is, so when these kids are playing on this mini pitch thing, how many balls are going to go in the street?
Well, that's part of what's having that barrier there. And so you may have some balls that are really kicked up and over, but hopefully the goal is that's going to be a much more minimal number compared to not having that barrier there.
I think it's 8 or 10 foot tall is that back.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, this back piece, yeah.
Yeah. I did have the opportunity to attend one of the youth soccer events, and
it's crazy.
holy
It is
cow.
cool.
Yeah. It really is. So is there a chance you could get one in both parks?
Comes down to numbers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so.
But I'm thinking if it's that good, like I anticipate it's going to be, that you'll probably have people coming in from outside the community that would like to use the facility until they get their own.
So like Sioux City's been a prime resource for us to reach out and see, A, if it's something that works, and B, what were their steps that they took. And they are, and I think Daniel mentioned, when they reached back out, they said, we put one in, they were one of the first ones in, and they're already now putting in a second one because of how much
Because it's getting that much
So
use.
the idea being, we put one in that works, that people are enjoying it, of course. We'll look at it.
And for Sioux City, I think that was within a 2 to 3 year window that all came to fruition.
Okay.
And now looking at it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Nothing. You got nothing? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Webster Community Schools, Sunset Elementary.
All right, good evening. My name is Ashley Larson, and I am here representing the Sunset Heights Playground Replacement Project. I am currently the elementary parent-teacher organization president.
And I'm Kelly Reese, and I'm the principal at Sunset Heights. So I'm here to support our PTO president.
Okay, so a little bit of background on the playground, specifically at Sunset. Both Sunset and Pleasant View playgrounds were installed in the mid-90s. And they have been well loved and well used over the past few decades. So with that, they are in desperate need of replacement. Specifically, Sunsets has several pieces that are no longer operational, and there can't be parts purchased to replace them. So this project is, a necessity for our elementary school at Sunset. And so the new project really creates, it creates an inclusive playground for all students, community members, and visitors to our community. And then it also supports the development of all children and adults, physical, social, emotionally, and intellectually. And then it provides recreation access to individuals of all abilities. And so with our Webster City schools, if you would drive by Sunset or Pleasant View on any given night, you'll see that they're not only used as a school playground, but also a community park. And then also benefits for this project is that when a new family is looking to move to a community, one of the first things that they ask about or go to look at is usually what are the schools like. And so having a new, updated, and inclusive playground is important. So running through the project details that were presented in the grant, the estimated cost with all projects continues to change over time, but our estimated cost is at $250,000. So far, we have secured $214,200 of that. Our anticipated, well, the purchase has happened, not completed. The purchase is in the process, hopefully be done in the next week or so to lock in the prices that we've been quoted for that budget. And then it does take, if we order in the next week or so, we will not receive the equipment until late February, early March of 2023. So the installation will happen spring of 2023. So since the grant application was turned in, we've been able to nail down all of the features that we will be featuring in the new playground. And so here's a couple different views of that. All of the playground surface will be the safe surface poured, exactly the same that is at East Twin Park. We will have things that the students actually requested when they were surveyed were monkey bars, and then the wave, which is that squiggly horizontal piece. There is currently one at Sunset, and they definitely wanted that piece back. There's also a sensory wall you can see in the bottom corner there that has different activities for students that aren't comfortable or not able to go up on top of equipment, can participate in some of the different sensory activities on the wall. There's also integrated panels that are underneath the structure, which provides shade. Some things, interactive panels that we've chosen are fire trucks with steering wheels, gears, musical themes, and many more. There are also 3 slides on the structure and the climbing monkey bar structure as well. And then an inclusive merry-go-round that is accessible. So the funding sources that we've secured so far are listed here, but with the request from the Hotel Motel, funding will put us at our goal and allow us to move forward with the extent of the project. Kind of to preface one of Andy's questions is, will this go on without the funding? And the answer is yes. Also back here, the last piece that has not been purchased or will not be purchased with the first 214,000 will be the inclusive merry-go-round that is accessible for those in wheelchairs, those that aren't comfortable or capable of walking up steps. It also includes benches inside that allow students to sit down. And then, as you can see, the top provides a shade for those individuals that need some shade in the hot weather.
I'm gonna jump in just a second. It also provides for grandparents that want to come. We have a lot of grandparents that sit on the benches and they get warm in that. They said, and I've gone down, Ames has one of these in their Miracle Playground down there. And it allows grandparents to go in and sit in there with their children. And that center thing, they can tug on it and it'll spin it. So nobody has to really be outside of it as well. So it allows our community members to come in and enjoy it with their grandkids as well.
So another feature of the playground and the uses that it has is many families that are in the community surrounding Sunset, use the park, or use the playground as a park. Also, some churches in the area will also use it during their summer and after-school activities, especially with the school district doing early outs more frequently on Wednesdays. I know that Trinity Church, which is close proximity to Sunset, will be doing an after-school program and will likely be utilizing the park frequently on those days. So with this, we'd like to thank you for the opportunity and for supporting our project, if chosen. Any, you can start with questions.
No, she took all my questions. She already answered. So on to you. I don't have any.
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say that you made a lot of great points in your presentation. And 25 years ago, my kids used to use the playgrounds for parks too. So you're absolutely right. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you note in there, we did ask, go to the Park and Rec Department and ask them to support our project as well. And they are supporting it because we will be, what they're gonna say is kind of the city park inclusive part of a playground for our community. It's for the community.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. And last up, Webster Community Theater.
Lean, the mouse and keyboard is up there. I think the arrows and the keyboard work better than the mouse.
Thank you.
Use the keyboard.
Thanks.
Well, greetings from Webster City Community Theater. Thank you for inviting us to come. My name is Louise Getter. WCCT is requesting a total of $5,710 to be used for scenic projections for its youth production of Shrek Jr. and to promote the 55th season with ads in standing ovations programs, which you each have a copy of now, and the Chamber's activity guide. For many, good. Yeah. For many years now, WCCT has offered the youth of our community opportunities to learn about theater by performing on stage and working behind the scenes. Music Theater International is a licensing house which offers junior versions of many Broadway shows. These versions have the same characters, the same storylines, same scenes and songs as the real Broadway show. They are just shorter. WCCT has produced 4 of those MTI junior musicals in the past. They brought in large numbers of family and friends from Webster City and out of town. And while those people were in town for the shows, they dined and shopped locally, and some of them even stayed overnight. Have to have a costume. I will be putting on my director's hat to direct Shrek Jr. in February. There are 35 characters in the show, so there's a huge opportunity for area youth to act, sing, and dance in a show based on a movie that they have all seen multiple times, and so have their parents. Let me go back. Do I go back this way? Those characters need unique costumes, which will be created, rented, or purchased. And unless someone shows up with a green complexion, there will be makeup to be purchased. And those are 2 big budget items. The show is broken down into 13 scenes. Ordinarily, we would design, build, and paint the sets for those scenes. So we would need a swamp, Fiona's Tower, complete with a dungeon, a meadow, a barn, and the castle in Duloc. Besides the set, there are lots of props. And so those are 2 other big budget items. That list on the right shows the crew that works behind the scenes to put on a show. They are all volunteers. No one gets paid. Additionally, we have to obtain the rights to perform and pay royalties to do the shows. We've already paid MTI $1,080 for 6 performances of Shrek Jr., plus another $690 for the scripts, music, and licenses. So putting on a show is expensive. As the director, I want to take things up a notch with this show, and the use of animated projected scenery is the way to go. Broadway Media is a company that has created scenery for over 100 plays and musicals. They rent those animations and the projectors to show them with. These are the 12 scenes that come in the rental package. So we have the swamp and Shrek's cottage, a meadow and Fiona's tower, complete with the dungeon, a barn, Duloc, and the castle. These animations are professionally created and they are cued to go along with the script. So why use animated projection scenery? First of all, it's cool. Those artists can create any effect: sunrises, sunsets, fiery torches, and of course, a dragon bursting into the castle. They save time. There's no sets to design, build, and paint, and that time can be used in other ways to make the show even better. They create smooth transitions from one scene to another. The scenes just flow, so we don't have to have blackouts in order to change the scenery. They're affordable. At $400, we get 12 projections, so that's just $35 a projection. And if you've checked the price of lumber and paint lately, you know that's a pretty good deal. They are the future. More and more Broadway shows are using digital animated scenery, and now it's possible for us community theaters to do the same. So we like to think that WCCT is on the cusp of where theater is going. And the impact is priceless. The kids will be inspired and they will strive to do well. The crew will be relieved. And other directors will be aware of the possibilities for future shows. Our audiences always expect good things from WCCT, and this is one way we can say, that's cool. They will be in awe. So what does it take to bring scenic projections to our theater? First of all, we need to rent a short throw projector, and the rental fee for 1 month is just under $3,000. We'll need a projection screen, and for that, we're going to purchase 4 yards of a special fabric. That's $335. And that fabric can be taken down and stored for future productions. And then the cost of renting the projections themselves is $400 if we place the order before August 1st. After that, it's another $50. This is the projector that we will be renting. It is like the one that I used last fall for 110 stories. It has 5,000 lumens for brightness, a very short throw ratio, so it can be positioned almost directly in front of the screen, and a high resolution for clarity. Broadway Media told me that because of supply chain issues, we're not able to purchase this brand or this model right now. I did go online to see what something similar would be. And Canon has one that's got a slightly better resolution, but it's $8,250. So tickets sales help cover our expenses. The patrons buy the tickets, and so the patrons need to know what they're coming to see. Our 55th season will kick off this fall, and we have a comedy, a holiday show, a youth show, a drama, and a musical. We typically spend $1,000 per show on advertising with our newspaper and radio ads in the area. And we send out postcards like the one that you got for Church Basement Ladies. And we do mass emails through Constant Contact. To reach a broader audience, we also have advertised in the standing ovation programs that are distributed at 8 performance venues in the Ames area. Hughes Printing in Ames, Iowa supplies all of those venues with these free programs. So the program you have in front of you is the last show we did. We get as many programs as we want for free. It's much better than us copying things on the front and back of a piece of paper. This past year, as those venues were coming back from pandemic, we opted to have just a half-page color ad like the one that's in there, the one that's in the middle on the screen. In the past, we've had full-page color ads, and that's what we'd like to go back to. The price of the full-page color ad is $15.80. And we also advertised in the Webster City Chamber Activity Guide. This year's 1/4 page ad was $400. The Chamber and the Daily Freeman Journal distributed about 4,000 of those through local businesses and at 22 welcome centers across the state of Iowa. That's what I have. Do you have any questions?
Go ahead and start.
The dining receipts is an excellent idea that you mentioned in your
yes.
promotion.
I didn't dream it up. We went out to see Clue at Waterloo Playhouse, and we were sitting there, and I looked at the back of the program, and it said, one final clue. Miss Scarlett reminds you to keep your single speed brewing receipt and turn it in at the box office to be entered in a chance to win a $50 gift card. So I thought, well, that was a good idea. Plus we'd gone to single speed before the show. We didn't win, but anyway, we had a good dinner and saw a great show. But next season, we're going to work with like the Gridiron, Leon's and the Saloon and have the people bring in their receipts and have a drawing.
I thought that was an excellent idea.
I thought it was a good idea too.
You have a couple of excellent marketing ideas in your presentation.
Thanks.
Now, if I'm understanding correctly, you guys will own the surface,
Yes,
not the projector.
no.
And what is the lifespan of that surface? Do you have any idea?
It's it's not a hard, it's like a fabric.
Okay.
So it just folds up and gets put away.
Okay.
Yeah. Last fall, when we used the slides for 110 stories, we just used the projector screen at the theater, which is very old. And so it's like that lovely noise of pulling the screen down and then pulling it back up again before and at intermission. It was like.
So how many opportunities will there be to use the screen in future shows?
Well, like I said, I think more and more of the directors, especially with musicals where you have so many set changes, that's really the way to go. I know Will Groves is thinking about it for Sound of Music, which will finally come next summer.
Nice.
I hope.
Do you guys have any future plans to purchase a projector?
Well, that's what we'd like to do. That's what we'd like to do.
And then all you would have to do is rent the scene.
Right,
Little
right.
scene. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
And I think the cost of the scenery will come down too, as more people use them. But it's an art to create those cells. So
Sure.
those slides, yeah.
And the full page in Standing Ovation magazine, is that a month, a quarter, or a
That's for the
year?
season. That's for the season.
So a whole year?
Mhm.
Wow, that's pretty inexpensive considering the market that you're reaching with that. That's all I have.
So you kind of answered this a little bit. How many shows are out there right now that are using this type of, with the projection?
Well, I know that when we went to see Clue, that was a set, 2-story set with 11 doors. We can't do that kind of show in our stage. But previously we went up to see them do Annie, and that was all projection in the back.
It's kind of the way of the future now.
Yeah, I mean, if you've gone to the Civic Center to see anything like Mean Girls, the scenic projection is like a character of the show. I mean, it just flows. It's crazy. Yeah. We did go down to Ames to see Shrek Jr. And because of Iowa State, they have graphic artists involved in their theater, and they created their own slides. And they were back projected, which is another way to do it. But this works out pretty good when you can set the projector right in front of the screen, and it's really not going to be in the way of anybody. And you don't have to worry about people walking between this projector and the screen. Well, that was interesting.
Yeah. Okay,
Any other questions?
nope, that's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I asked any other questions or comments for the board?
Are you meeting tomorrow night
We,
or
I
after?
believe so.
Tomorrow. so
It'll
Ashley
be
will
tomorrow,
back.
so Ashley will be here. So 5:15 tomorrow, we'll meet and discuss all the applications. Like BD said, July, I believe it's 18th, we will present to the board or to the council, sorry. Thank you all for coming, and I make a motion for adjournment. We are, yeah,
What's the total amount that you have to work with?
I believe it's 251,000, 258,000. So roughly right around there. Any other questions? All right, thank you, guys.
Thanks.